front of you is a 2008 Mercedes-Benz S550 with 92,000 miles. Now, the S-Class was originally introduced in 1972 following the discontinuation of the W08 Mercedes-Benz models, which was the predecessor to the S-Class itself. Now, the S-Class has evolved mightily over 6 generations since 1972, with the modern generation, 6th generation, being introduced in 2014. Now, this specific S550 is a 2008 W221, which was a 2008 model year, with a plethora of luxurious features. This vehicle itself was offered in a 4-cylinder diesel, a hybrid 6, a V12, and this one specific is a 5.5 liter V8, why it is called the S550 for the 5.5. Now, sales-wise for the S-Class in North America, it was pretty solid, reaching 31,000 sales its max in 2006, and its low is about 11,000 in 2009. Now, in this video, I'll be taking you around the S-Class, showing off its luxurious features, and seeing where it falls in the lemon list evaluation scale. And before I move to these features, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Butler Autos of Eastern Pennsylvania for lending me this S-Class. Check them out. They have a great selection of vehicles, and I will link that all in the description below. Stay tuned. Starting with the exterior of the S550, the first thing I want to point out is a bit of an odd feature, is there are 2 logos right above the grille. As you can see, there is a Mercedes-Benz logo with a bit of a floral design right above the nice chrome grille. And fastened about 3 inches above the logo above the grille is the iconic Mercedes-Benz triangle hood badge to flaunt the opulence of the S550. I just find it a bit humorous. There is a logo literally about 3 inches apart from one another, but nonetheless, you want to display the level of luxury that your S-Class brings. One other styling feature that I want to point out on the S550 is the absolute size of these doors. The only other car that I reviewed that may have doors that are comparable in size to that was the 2018 Toyota Tundra. But just like that vehicle, these doors are the size of Massachusetts. These doors are absolutely colossal. I have to walk from one end to the other just to see how big it is. And if you open it, there is just a plethora of room in the rear seats of the S550. But these doors are absolutely huge just to display the overall length of this vehicle, and it's very long as well. So continuing with the exterior styling points of the S550 that I really enjoy is the rear fender. If you take a look at this vehicle, it is a very traditional but luxurious standard full-size luxury German sedan. However, this rear fender kind of gives it a bit of a sporty look to a very traditional style. However, it is a very nice look and makes it look sleek and refined. And one other cool touch I want to point out on the exterior, as you can see, this is an AMG package of the S550, as you can see by the little badging on the wheels. The wheels are a very nice look to this as well. The silver chrome matches the black exterior very nicely, but I wanted to point out that there's an AMG package of this vehicle. So moving to the interior of the S550, the first thing that I want to point out is all this nice chrome lining in the interior door panels. As you can see, the door handle is chrome, the lock and unlock buttons are chrome, the various seat operation configurations are chrome, the memory settings and all the window panels are chrome as well. And this chrome is matched with this beautiful dark brown wood in the interior that runs from the entirety of the vehicle, including the steering wheel itself and the wrapped portion in the upper and lower sections. Very nice. But moving to this part over here, I want to point out the kind of different from standard window controls. Now, your normal window control, you would usually pull up on a plastic piece to raise a window or press it down to lower the window. The S550 gives you 2 panels for each one. So when you go to push it down, you barely push the button and it goes all the way down. And if you push it barely up, it'll go up. These buttons feel like you're not moving them almost. They are very planted and firm in their spots, but a very different styling technique on Mercedes-Benz, but however, it is pretty nice in the overall look. So continuing with the interior of the S-Class, as I mentioned in the exterior part, this is a very large vehicle with huge doors, and as you can see, there are very big storage panels in the door as well. For this storage panel, all you have to do is lift up, and you are greeted with a very, very long storage panel with some chrome right here, because it's an S-Class, it fits you very nicely. Close that, and below it you have another storage panel for interior storage on the door. So Mercedes-Benz fashions you with a lot of storage, giving the size of this massive sedan. So moving to the gauge cluster of the S550, as you can see, it's a pretty standard gauge cluster, but it's very nice for a late 2000s, integrating a screen at a time where it's mostly plastic and still physical buttons rather than screens in a gauge cluster. One weird part of the gauge cluster, though, is the tachometer. Just like the direction that it is fastened in and then it moves is very different from the standard tachometer, as it usually goes in an upward direction to the right, opposed to going almost in a downward thing, like a bit of a hill as it is in the S-Class. Kind of different, but a cool little features to touch on. And backing out from the gauge cluster, I want to point out the steering wheel of the S-Class, a very traditional standard Mercedes-Benz steering wheel. Very gorgeous, though. Very, very comfortable plush leather right here. The gorgeous Mercedes-Benz triangle logo and the opulent wood that wraps around the entirety of the upper and lower portion of the steering wheel, just to kind of emphasize that luxurious touch. And one very cool feature on the interior of the S550 that I want to point out, if you look at this button right here with the highway and a crescent moon in the upper left corner of the button, you may question what this feature does, and I will now tell you. This feature is an infrared night mode sensor that when you press it on a dark highway at night, instead of flashing and blinding someone with your high beams, you can press the button, and when you do so, the night view assist will come on when it's nighttime, and when it is night, it will give you a bit of a screen right here in front of the speedometer, and it will give you a view, almost like a night vision mode inside the S550. It is a very cool touch on Mercedes-Benz's part, and I can kind of, I will insert a clip or a picture of the night mode just to give you an idea of what it would look like. So continuing with the interior of the S550, 2 little interesting parts that I want to point out above the steering wheel area. The shifter is very peculiar in this vehicle. You have a very small column shifter. Push this in for park, lift up for reverse, pull it down for drive, then neutral is in your standard mode right here. A bit of an odd touch on Mercedes-Benz, opposed to some nice luxurious shifter that you'd probably expect to be like right in this region. Nonetheless, Mercedes-Benz fastens you with the right to the right of the steering wheel. One flaw on the interior that I do not like in this vehicle is the location of the cruise control setting. Close to where your turn signal would be right here, the cruise control is literally right above it, and in case you press that in an area where you don't want cruise control on, that could be a bit of a hazardous flaw. Nonetheless, it's not the worst thing in the world. But one very cool touch that I want to point out that many people would love to see if they own a Mercedes-Benz, as you look up and see the focal point of where you're going, you can see the Mercedes-Benz crescent logo sitting at the front of the hood, just to remind you of the luxurious vehicle that you purchased, shining in its full glory at the end of the hood. And moving through the interior of the S550, as you can see here, you have a very deep infotainment system, which I will come back to momentarily, and I will come back to these buttons as well. Moving along, though, with the infotainment system, as you can see, you are fastened with a very prestigious-looking chrome lining air conditioning vent right here with your 2 vent settings right here, and an analog clock lined in chrome to just display that luxurious touch. And I like how Mercedes-Benz fastens a little tiny peace logo right above the clock hands, just to remind you of the vehicle you purchased. Now moving back out behind the wheel, You have your various AC controls right there, very standard and simple, but it is chrome, of course. This is an S550. You got your 4MATIC badge on the wood right here. Moving down, you have your various CD outlets in case you want to pop in some CDs and jam out to remind yourself of the luxurious era that was the late 2000s. Kind of fit in this little compartment. This was a pretty common styling point used in the mid-2000s by a lot of car brands. Mercedes-Benz follows this and the S550. Moving down here, you have a little bit of a storage outlet right here. Push it back forward and you will reveal a cigarette lighter in the front. You have the lighter right there and the ashtray right there. Of course, the ashtray is chrome, as is an S550. What you want to do is pull that back forward. And if you lift this up right here, you will be greeted by 2 plastic cup holders for you and your passenger in case you want to enjoy some beverages in the front of your S-Class. All fastened to you right here in the infotainment area. So continuing with the infotainment area and center console region of the S550, I will now go over all the buttons displayed right here. You have your comfort and sports settings button right here, fastened with these chrome lining as the rest of the buttons in this vehicle. You have your rear headrest button right here. This button right here is pretty cool. It's a customizable button, so you can kind of customize it to whatever you want. Say you want to put your home location or your address in, you can press this button and program it, so it'll put your directions right to your house address by hitting this button. Pretty cool touch. Up here you have your disc radio button, a back button when you're using the infotainment screen. You have your hazards right there. I love how they integrate it perfectly in this little kind of triangular arch right here. You have your various seat settings right here, telephone and navigation right here. Moving down below, you have your on button for the infotainment system. You have a chrome dial for the volume in the infotainment screen. And you have a mute button in case you are sick of listening to your music and you want to turn directly off without pushing any other buttons right here. Kind of interesting how Mercedes-Benz puts the volume knob and the mute buttons in the center region of the S550 opposed to having knobs right here, but by doing so it kind of clears up space for a very simple and luxurious look. Moving along though, here you have a bit of a scroll knob that you would typically find in a BMW's interior. Mercedes-Benz and other German brands kind of copy this look in the mid-2000s, but nonetheless it is there and simple to operate. Moving here, you have a bit of a almost like a mouse pad, and you have various presets button you can use for your phone or various infotainment systems as well, and use this for calling if you want to use this as a hands-free thing in your S550. And as you can see, everything is this very, very comfortable plush leather padding in the wood. This center console is very cool as well, as it is a dual opening center console. Press the button, you can open it from the passenger side. Press this button, you can open it from the driver's side. And when doing so, it will reveal a Mercedes-Benz remote. I am not exactly sure what this remote does. However, I'm sure it operates something with the infotainment system as well. And continuing with the main center console, as you can see, there's a little bit of a storage area that is designated for the remote for the infotainment system. However, if you press this button down here on the wood, it will open up the entire center console region and reveal a pretty deep center console in the S550. As you can see, I have practically my entire hand in here, down to about my wrist area. Nonetheless, it is a pretty decent storage in a full-size luxury sedan, and it closes just like so. And moving to the left of the infotainment system in the S550, you have a couple of buttons right here, which is a bit of an odd layout, but nonetheless, this is how Mercedes-Benz operates, and it's pretty simple, and it kind of tucks it away. As you can see here, you have this button right here, which will raise the suspension in your S550. In case you run over a bird and you don't want to crush the undercarriage of your vehicle, you can raise up and avoid doing that and damaging your Mercedes-Benz. Right here, you have your traction control buttons right here, your parking sensors, which I will demonstrate in 1 second, and the brightness of your infotainment system. Pretty cool. And I just want to point out the infotainment system in the S-Class. It is a very standard, basic, late 2000s infotainment system. Nothing too outlandish. You can see you have your maps right there for navigation. Then you have your audio settings, listen to the radio, simple stuff. Telephone, contact whoever you want, contact your boss, your husband, wife, whatever. Videos, you have your CD outlets and stuff. The vehicle kind of has a bit of settings and displays in case you need to fix anything in your S-Class. So 2 small little quirks I want to point out in the interior of the S550. The glove box is pretty massive in this vehicle, and as of course, instead of having a typical plastic pull-down bar to open the glove box, you press a chrome button to drop down the glove box. And as you can see, it is a very, very deep and colossally sized glove box. And there's a little remote in there to work with the infotainment system as well in the back of the glove box. Nonetheless, though, you are given an ample amount of room in your S550. And one of the biggest things I want to touch on is this dark black plush leather interior. This is by far the most comfortable vehicle that I've ever sat in. These seats are incredibly comfortable, lavish, luxurious, a very super luxurious plush dark leather interior. These seats are extremely comfortable and will fit you extremely nicely for a road trip, and you can just sit in these and relax as you lounge down the highway. Very nice quality on Mercedes-Benz. So moving to the rear of the S550, you have the same window device controls as you do up front with these chrome linings. One cool touch on the back of the S550, as a full-size, high-tier luxury sedan, you can open both rear windows in the back of the S-Class. If you're on the right side of the or passenger side of the vehicle, you have the same buttons as well. Right here, you have your sunshade buttons in case you want to shade yourself from the sun, which, as other vehicles in the New Jersey or Pennsylvania region, it is an overcast day, to no surprise. But if it is sunny out maybe once every month, you can put the sunshade up and use that. Continuing with the dark storage in the back, you have an ashtray on the driver's side, storage panel, and you have one on the passenger side as well, giving you 3 ashtrays. Only one lighter up front, but 3 ashtrays in general if you want to smoke up in the back of your S-Class, smoke some cigars after your CEO business meeting concludes. And as in the front, you have a very deep storage panel right here. And as I mentioned, the legroom is absolutely just massive. I thought the Toyota Tundra Crew Max cab had a lot of rear storage and legroom. This thing just kicks its ass in that setting, just so much so. I am almost fully outstretched. I'm about 5'10", and there is just so much legroom. It is insane. And one weird little touch on the back of the S-Class, the rear seats are padded in the same luxurious leather quality, as you can see. You have 2 rear storage pockets right here to give you a little bit more room in your S-Class. But one weird little touch, these 2 vents right here, the S-Class has heated and cooled seats. Of course, it is a full-size luxury sedan. But the passenger will get a bit of a back breeze from the driver or passenger with these vents, depending on what their seat controls are. Fastened with a little air vent right there. And 2 more vents right here with the same luxurious wooden touch on the back of the S-Class. So Mercedes-Benz grants you with a plethora of vent settings, so you can feel very comfortable in the rear of your S-Class. And moving up, as you can see, you have a TV panel right here, one on the passenger side as well. So you and your passenger can watch movies or watch South Park or whatever you desire to watch in the rear of your S-Class, or the latest business deals and watch the New York stock market if you're a business CEO. And continuing with the back of the S550, as you can see, as it is a full-size luxury sedan, you have a nice big storage armrest panel right here. If you want to lay your arm down here when you're cruising in the back road being chauffeured to your business meeting, open this up. You have a fairly sized storage center right here, a little tray right here for some goodies, a little bit of a deeper storage panel right here. And if you press this button outwards, the 3 cup holders in case you want to store 3 beverages for your 2 rear seat passengers in the back of your S-Class right here. Pretty standard. Like most German cars, they have a very standard look with a cup holder outlet right here, and a bit of a storage device right here. Nonetheless, simple little addition in the back of your S-Class. Not bad though. And a few last minute touches that I want to add on the S-Class is you can look up right here. You can see that you have a vanity mirror. So you can check yourself out and make sure your makeup is done right and look all pretty for your whatever occasion is going on that you bring your S-Class to. And as you can see, the rear grab handle is absolutely huge. This thing it's like a zip line of how massive this thing is. I can run my entire hand through it. It's absolutely huge. And you have your reading light back there, a little bar right there. And just one last time, I want to stress the legroom in this vehicle. As you can see, my feet are fully outstretched. There is just so much room in the back of this vehicle. It is insane of how much comfort and space you have. It is very nice. And moving to the trunk of the S-Class, it is a pretty deep trunk, maybe not as big as you would expect maybe in a full-size luxury sedan. However, a lot of room is designated to the rear passengers and the legroom, as I previously mentioned. Nonetheless, so you have pretty decent trunk space in the rear of the S-Class. You have 2 nets on either side for some storage. And as you can see here, the trunk mats and their floor mats for the S-Class are fastened right in the trunk. But 2 cool little buttons I want to point out. If you look on the top of the trunk hatch, you have your trunk lock button. And in case you have groceries or some heavy item that you are holding and you don't want to actually physically close the trunk with your hand, tap a little button and you can see the trunk of the S-Class will close for you like so. Very nice. So getting behind the wheel of the S550, the first thing you feel is that just uber comfort. This thing floats down the highway. It is a very, very comfortable ride, as you can see. And it is a very, very quiet cabin in here. I cannot hear a thing. I know I have this big, monstrous 5.5 liter V8 underneath the hood, but it is extremely quiet in here. A very, very quiet ride. And just in general, it is a very, very smooth ride. Everything is extremely just comfortable and just very smooth riding. You know, I'm not feeling a lot of bumps right now, and I'm just feeling extremely just secure and comfortable in this Benz. It is a extremely smooth ride. Like, I'm going over bumps and I really can't feel much of anything right at this point. And looking down, seeing the Mercedes-Benz logo at the front of the hood is a very nice reminder of the vehicle that I'm driving. Yeah, one feature that I'm not fond of is the location of the cruise control button, as I previously mentioned, as I accidentally just hit it while going to a stoplight. The acceleration is a bit sluggish in this vehicle, as it is just a very large vehicle in general. It's a very big frame, you know, big, long vehicle. The turning radius is pretty strong, though. I made a turn not too long ago, and it just took it very nicely. Yeah, you really got to hit this thing, though, if you want to move. You got that big V underneath the hood. And if you want to get up to speed, it'll get you there, but it takes a little to get up there in this very large vehicle. It's heavy, it's long, it is a very big vehicle. Nonetheless, though, it is extremely, very comfortable, as I previously mentioned multiple times. A bit slow, nonetheless, but once it gets up to speed, it will stay there and just kind of take it. But the overall, I'm very surprised of how quiet it is. Like, I've never been in a vehicle like this secure with road noise. It is just extremely comfortable, and I can hear like almost nothing. You know, just the fact that I have such a big engine underneath the hood, and this thing just kind of cruises and floats. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I don't want to stay on this road. Actually,
that's cruise control. Still cruise control.
I hate the cruise control.
Told you.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the location of the cruise control button, as I just hit it 2 more times on accidents instead of the turn signal. Nonetheless, though, it is a factor you have to deal with in your S-Class. This thing, though, it feels like a boat. It is a very, very wide car. Like, so putting the S550 in sport mode, I can definitely feel more get up, like right off like the launch in general. Instead of the bit of a sluggishness, this thing, the 5.5 liter V8, it picks up much more frequently, and it kind of just coasts you a little faster than it would in the regular mode. It is not as a astronomical leap as it was in the 535i. However, there is a noticeable difference in sport mode of how much faster you go when you put this thing in sport mode. But this thing takes bumps like a champ. It absorbs like almost every single thing you feel, and you feel very in control of this. It's a Mercedes-Benz too, you know, you got that nice firm steering. You know, you feel very domineering in this vehicle, knowing that you have a very wide sedan underneath your frame. It's now time for the interview section, which I answer 6 generic questions one would ask when going to purchase a vehicle. Question number 1 is, do I like the S550? And the answer is yes. This massive German land yacht is an awesome vehicle to drive. It is comfortable, and it makes you feel like the king of the road. So yes, I do like the S550. Question number 2 of the interview section is, what is my favorite part of the S550? That would have to be these comfortable leather seats. Like I said, this is by far the most comfortable vehicle I've ever sat in, so the comfort and just overall surrounding is my favorite part of the S550. Question number 3 is, what is my least favorite part of the S550? That would have to be the location of the cruise control setting. In the driving section alone, I hit this button like 4 times and thinking it is a turn signal, which is a very obnoxious part where to locate this in the Mercedes-Benz. Nonetheless, it was not a huge flaw, so that is my least favorite part of the S550. Question number 4 is, what is the weirdest part of the S550? And that would have to be the overall generic, weird, kind of quirky mouse pad section right here, the 3 cigarette lighters, and the multiple opening center console area. A bit quirky on Mercedes-Benz part, but not bad at all. Question number 5 of the interview section is the S550 worth its value? And for $90,000, I would say yes. You are getting a massive land yacht with a plethora of legroom and storage, which will fasten you nicely with a big, massive V8 that is quiet underneath the hood. So yes, I would say it is worth its value. Question number 6 of the interview section is, would I ever want/own the S550? And the answer is yes. Being a luxurious German land yacht made by Mercedes-Benz, I would definitely want to own the S550 in the future. And before I conclude, I want to say you can get this S550 at Butler Autos. Once again, big thank you to them. I will leave the description of the S550 for sale in the description below. So thank you to them once again. Now that we've evaluated the S550's luxurious qualities and characteristics, it is now time to see where it falls in the limitless scoring scale. Before I begin, I would like to thank Butler Autos of Easton, Pennsylvania once again for lending me the S-Class for the production of this video, as well as my friend Omer for helping me edit this video. Now on with the scoring. Starting with the exterior, the S550 is opulent and nice, but not breathtakingly gorgeous, and earns a 6 out of 10. Interior, on the other hand, is a large improvement, fastened with luxurious wooden touches and elegant chrome amenities, earning a strong 8 out of 10. Roadtrip on the S550 is amazing. The plush leather seats surrounding the passengers is in supreme comfort. The S-Class is by far the most comfortable vehicle I've ever sat in, with near perfect comfort, earning a strong 9 out of 10. MPG on the S550 is rather poor, as it is a bulky, full-size luxury sedan. The 08 S550's combined EPA estimated MPG is 17.5, giving it a 4 out of 10 on the MPG scale. Storage on the S550 is slightly better than average, as the trunk is slightly smaller than one would expect in a sedan of this size. It would score lower on this category, however, its massive rear seats and extra compartments on the doors bump it up to a 6 out of 10. Character on the S550 is decent, as this is a subtly pompous Mercedes-Benz sedan. However, it is not outlandishly unique, and it earns a healthy 6 out of 10. Wishlist on the S-Class is decent, as it is a lot of strong features for its time. However, I wouldn't mind some extra tech and modern safety features, earning a 7 out of 10. Handling on the S-Class is mediocre, as it is strong Mercedes-Benz steering. However, being this thing is a boat, there is given body roll and sluggishness, earning a 5 out of 10 for handling. Excitement on the S-Class is also in the middle. You truly feel like the king of the road while you're driving this prestigious land yacht. However, to most non-car enthusiasts, it is a standard Mercedes-Benz sedan, earning a 5 out of 10 for excitement. Stupidity on the S-Class is fairly strong, with not a whole hell of a lot to knock on. However, the cruise control location may be one of the most annoying flaws on Mercedes-Benz part, earning a 7 out of 10 for stupidity. Pricing on the S550 is also towards the middle, as a modern one start over $90,000 and depreciate rapidly with age and usage. However, being able to get one of these corporate cruisers for under $20,000 is a steal. Depending on how much you trust German reliability, it earns a 6 out of 10 for price. Engine responsiveness on the S550 is rather poor, as the vehicle is centered around serene cruising one would wish to be chauffeured in. The 5.5 is a bit sluggish beneath the wide frame, earning the S-Class a 4 out of 10. And overall amenities on the S-Class is strong as it rightfully should be for nearly $100,000, equipped with many complimentary features and luxurious touches for its time, earning an 8 out of 10 for overall amenities. Added all together, you get a grand total of 81 out of 130, divided that by 13 categories is 6.23. The S550 overtakes the 2011 BMW 535i by 1 point to earn second place on the lemon list, and is unable to compete with the M235i's modern sportiness as for the top crown. Nonetheless, aside from the 535i, the S550 falls well beyond the other sedans on this, such as the Honda Accord and Chevy Malibu. At the same time, though, it should be nearly 3 times the starting price of both of those vehicles.